right, let's get started. I'm Debbie Thompson. My husband and I and my daughter represent In Better Hands. We are from Michigan. We travel wherever we're invited to come. The missionaries that we're going to talk about today had asked us to represent them while they are in Asia. And so that's what we're doing. So In Better Hands, you can see down in the corner here, what time is it? Rescuing Children for Christ. And it was started in 2012 for the purpose of rescuing children who are in danger of being trafficked or abused in Southeast Asia. Jim, come here and you can do this for me. Just do the... Go ahead. This is the Van Tifflins, the Free Methodist missionaries. We're just going to scoot really fast. Global statistics on trafficking. Every 26 seconds, an individual is trafficked. Currently, 50 million slaves are in the world today. The average price of a slave is $90, and human trafficking generates more than $150 billion annually. Some believe that human trafficking is now the number one income-producing illegal activity in the world. William Wilberforce has said, "You may choose to look the other way, but you can never again say that you did not know." I like that. So the vision of In Better Hands is to provide a safe, loving, gospel-sharing environment, one individual at a time. We serve in 6 different countries now: Nepal at the top left, Myanmar, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, and soon to start in August, the Philippines. So we have 5 models of ministry, and the first one we're going to talk about is Hope for the Child. Hope for the Hope for the Village, I'm sorry. Hope for the Village focuses on children who live with a biological relative. So they live in a home, and they could be with grandparents, parents, whoever. But because of poverty, they are at risk of being trafficked. And so we know that if their needs are met, they will be much less likely to be trafficked. And so we do have the sponsorship program where somebody could sponsor a child, and with that money, the money is given not to the child or not to the family, because we know what would happen, right? We give them food, we give them medical care, clothing, their education. Their needs are met. And we have monthly, let's keep going. We have monthly distribution where they will come to the village, and all the children will come together who have been sponsored, and they will have, you can see in this picture here, a lot of rice, and it's much more than rice. It's ramen noodles and oil, and I've not actually seen it, but I've seen a lot of pictures of it, and it's a lot of food. We also don't just give them the food and the supplies. We have social workers who will come into their home on a monthly or weekly basis and make sure the child is thriving. They can tell if they've been provided the food, if they're eating well, and they not only do they do all that, but they teach them about Jesus. And that is the wonderful thing about In Better Hands, is that it's not just rescuing children from trafficking and from the world, but it's rescuing them for Jesus Christ, because without him, we still have nothing. And so that is so much of what we do. We also have hostels, which hostels is where children come during the school year. They go home during vacations and given a good education, taught about Jesus. We have a preschool that was started a few years ago when we had a family who went to work. They had no care for their children. Their children were at home and a fire broke out. There was a loss of one of the children's lives, And so in this area, a preschool was started to give them a place to bring their children while the parents are at work. Hope for the widow. And I have out on our table out there, I have pictures for sponsorship. And I just brought some in here to show you, give you an example. Hope for the widow. Obviously, it's not a trafficking issue, but it's also poverty. And so we work with a human trafficking element, but we also work with those who are in extreme poverty. They don't have Social Security and all the benefits that we have here. And so as these people come through our path, we're just going to slide through these. These are in Myanmar, widows from Myanmar and Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam. We also have Nepal, widows in Nepal. I don't think we have up there. Okay, Hope for the Child. Hope for the Child is where they have been rescued, and they are in a safe home. They come in different ways, from rescuing, being rescued for trafficking, or just abuse in a home situation. We have 12 currently, and you can see as we slide through these, some are smaller and some are very large. Good family, good house parents. Their needs are all met because through sponsorship, or that's what we look for.
Just to break in, Joy's family with all those kids. Whew.
Hope for the baby. Who doesn't love a baby? And I have a picture here. We have a baby very rarely do we have babies that need sponsorship because as soon as they're given to us, or however we get them, somebody snatches them up. We have one baby now. Babies, of course, are at risk of being aborted, and they've come to us through, if somebody is working with In Better Hands, who might be a nurse in a hospital, and she's been able to find a mother who came in for an abortion and talk to her and counsel her. And we've been able to help her then, before she gave birth, in some regards, bring them into our house parent situation and help her physically go through the whole process of going through the birth, and then helping her even sometimes on her way. And she's given up the baby for adoption. Some have been found at their doorstep or under a bush. They've come in so many different ways. And so we also do sponsorships for baby. And here's a couple with a couple here that have been adopted. This is one of the directors on the right with his family. Hope for the refugee. This is a new model that we have. In Myanmar, you've heard about the coup, the military coup, and all the unrest in that country. Is so unsafe. And so we have started Hope for the Refugee, and we're currently getting, I'm not sure the total. Let's go ahead to the house here. We have a house and house parents, as we've been able to bring these children and youth, most of them are a little bit older, teenagers, into Cambodia. Not Cambodia, I'm sorry, into Thailand, into Chiang Mai, where this home is. And this is brand new property that was purchased, a small amount of land, isn't it? But what they do is, I'm sure many of you know, they go high. And we're in the process now of raising funds so that a home can be built for these refugees. And I'll take this back. Let's go ahead. Home of Hope is a new home that is almost finished, and this would be a ministry center for all of the 4 models of ministry that we have going right now. A hostel for the children. It would be a safe home for the children, for the widows. Another.
That's coming to completion.
Another. It'll soon be ready for them to move into.
Where is that located?
That is in Chiang Mai.
Chiang Mai, Thailand.
Yes, in Thailand. So In Better Hands, sponsor, impact a life. So we know that however you choose to sponsor a child, whether they're in their home, whether they're in a safe home, you're making an impact not only for their physical needs, but for their spiritual needs. And there's so many ways that we can do that through prayer. You know, as we thought about this seminar, and this is a long ways away, we all can pray. Some can give. You can do that in many different ways, whether you sponsor a child, whether you give a donation. However God would lead you to do that, we just ask that you would come by our table, see our pictures. I want to show you this one here is a picture of the missionary with children. He has such a heart for children. Isaiah 1:17 says, "Learn to do good, seek justice, reprove the ruthless, defend the orphans, and plead for the widow." And that's what we're doing. Thank you.
Please take your mic. I don't think we need to. Don't press too hard. All right, welcome. Thank you all for coming. And at the end of my presentation, I'm going to ask someone to pray for both of these ministries, okay? So be thinking and let the Holy Spirit lead you. And if you feel it, pop up. Don't even wait for me to ask, okay? I'm going to be sharing today about Tumaini Women Kenya. And so Mike and I have served in Kenya. And I'm not living there anymore, but I continue to work with Tumaini. Tumaini is a Swahili word that means hope. So hope for women in Kenya. I'm going to show you a video first. Hopefully the music will work here. Come on. So just for clarification, that was not a Swahili song, was it? No, I think it's Zulu. It might be Zulu. It was a song, wasn't it? And I really have not dancing to it, so I always have to stand in the back. Just going to also tell you, I could talk about this for hours, and you're just going to get the short version, okay? So if you want to hear more, you're going to have to invite me to your church, call me on the phone, we'll do a Zoom call, because like Debbie and Jim, we have a passion for these things because we know the impact that they're having. So Tumaini Women Kenya, it started over 13 years ago now, and there's a couple things I really want you to know about it. One, when Mike and I moved to Kenya, the superintendent very wisely told me, don't jump into anything right away. You know, there's a lot of things you could be a part of. Don't jump into them. Wait for what the Lord wants you to do. And a few years after I was there, the Free Methodist Women of Kenya, they were trying to start a project that would help to be income for their ministries and for the women. And so at the time, there was a woman in the church who was an entrepreneur. And she could start a business, run it, be very successful. She worked a new business. So she helped them to organize into an NGO, which is a non-government organization. And it was very good for her to do that because NGOs have certain rules by which they must operate according to the government. And so that helped keep structure in the program. So sometimes, if we do a church thing, we can be a little flexible or relaxed, and that can create issues. But being an NGO, you have to do things by the rules. So that has helped to really be healthy over all these years. And so if you noticed in the video, maybe you didn't, but it says we have African solutions for African problems, okay? So the type of program that this is not something that came from the West. It came from what they call table banking. How many of you know table banking? The women come together, bring their money, actually literally to the table, and save their money. So they have a savings book, they bring their savings, and then all of that money is put into the bank so that it's a safe place and it's away from them. Because many of us know that sometimes when a family emergency, if you have $5 in your pocket, it goes to the family emergency. But in the bank, then it's away, it's not accessible. So with TWK, we organize women through the local churches, and they come together as a way of being a community, accountability, and just saving money. They must save for 6 months before they can take out their first loan. And then while they're paying their loan back, also saving more, they can take out, they have a bigger. Now this thing is there, they're in the program. When they decide to leave, they take that with them, okay? So we're trying to help them have some financial stability that doesn't come from us. There are programs and projects that TWK does that we do fundraising for, but that savings is the money for the women. And we encourage them to take out loans to help provide education for themselves or their children, or to invest in a business. Maybe if you saw, I don't know, I might have gone too fast, but we have about 800 members. Right now we have about 350 of them that have their own business, okay? So that is helping them also to build financial stability for their future. Now, we've been operating for 12 to 13 years. I'm going to give you 3 stories, one from the very beginning, early on, and one from the middle, and then one that's recent, okay? This is Jacqueline. Jacqueline was came into TWK early on. And Jacqueline, most of our women are widows, not all of them, but Jacqueline was a widow. But it was time for her son to go to secondary school. School is typically free. There's always some fee, but secondary school costs more. So for her to send her son to secondary school, and she was able, because she had been saving, to take out a loan to help pay for his tuition. When she got money, which you can see she's holding it in her hand, she said, I've never had this much money in my hand, all this much money in my hand at one time. 15,000 Kenya shillings, which at the time was about $140, which to us, we spend that easily. She was able to pay for his tuition, and he graduated 3 years ago, okay? Second, this is Lena. Lena, her story to this woman. Now, I have 6 grandchildren. It's often a topic of conversation. I have 6 grandchildren. This is what I call a TWK granddaughter. The reason is because Lena's mother was a TWK member and helped to pay for Lena's tuition to school and vocational training because of being able to take out loans. Lena saw what was happening, and as soon as she was able, she also became a TWK member. Got her training done, bought her sewing machine, has $1,500 worth of stock in her store. For a young woman who's in her early 20s, that's a great foundation for her to have. And so, yeah, she's our grandchild. Yeah, we have others like that, but TWK helps, one of the pictures of all, it helps the moms, and it helps those that they're raising as well. This is our most recent story. Before I move to this, I want to tell you something. I think in the picture you saw men there. Okay, so that's because in Kenya, this may be true of other governments, but in Kenya, when the U.S. helped them to rewrite their constitution, they included a gender equality law, which meant that of any organization that you have, up to 30% of the membership must be allowed to be in that group, right? So even though it's a women's group, legally we have to allow for men to be part of it. We don't care. We don't mind. If the men are saving money for the family, praise God, that just strengthens the family. And so it's been fun to see the men participate in this because they too are benefiting as well. So this is Anne. This is the most recent story just within the last 4 months. Anne's neighbor was a TWK member, all right? And Anne was brewing local alcohol as a way to provide for her family. Not married, had kids, but not married. I don't know if she was a widow or if she just didn't have a husband. But, if you can imagine, because you probably haven't lived this, but you can imagine she's brewing alcohol. They come to her place to drink. You've got people at your house, chaos, who needs that, right? So her neighbor kept telling her, you need to join TWK and start saving money so you can do a better business, right? Well, eventually, Anne joined TWK and started saving money, but didn't quit brewing, right? We don't require people to be believers to join our group. They're usually part of the local Free Methodist church, or because community people see what's going on, they want to be a part. So she started saving. But there was an incident that happened in Anne's neighborhood, and the people from her neighbor's church, from the Free Methodist church, came to pray with the person who had had an incident. Well, then they were so close to Anne's house, they went to talk to Anne. And as they were talking and sharing with Anne, Anne became a believer. And so that very day, she got rid of her alcohol. Okay? And let's see if this is going to work. She also got baptized about a month ago with her daughter, one of her daughters. Amen. I know you're saying, oh, and that water is covered by the blood. She's covered by the So you know, that's part of what we want. I mean, and that's what happens. TWK helps to transform people's lives, and there's so much that we can tell. And the things that we're now is every TWK member. We're going to do a discipleship program. I have a team going to Kenya in August, and it's going. So excited about that. And we're doing a workshop about discipleship, making disciples, and we have a little study book called Women in Network, I think, but it's a discipleship program that comes out of a ministry from Myanmar called Evangelism Resources, and we're going to do training with them so they can start to help disciple, win their neighbors, and then disciple their neighbors. So I love this picture because we've started in the last 6 months or 7 months. We've added 30 new groups, areas where we hadn't yet been reached with this, working through the local churches. And as a way of thanking, they bring roosters or cocks, bring coconuts. They're just so grateful that there's a way to save their own money and build for their future, their children's future. And so, yeah, I think bridging hope or bridge to hope. So that's what the Lord's help, we're offering hope for those who are vulnerable. We're just thankful for the opportunities. And out on our tables, I don't know if you have one, sign up for the newsletter because there's so many things that are happening through these ministries that you'd probably want to know what. If you can't give or donate, you can pray, and God will hear you. So I don't know what time it is, if there's any. Okay, so we have time for question and answers. Kim? Okay, yes. Ask me, Vickie, why are you raising funds if they're saving their own money? But again, we as an organization, we do have staff that we pay for. So we raise funds in order to pay for these what we call field agents or field. They're that visit with the groups on a monthly basis to make sure to help them save their money, keeping good records. We have staff, but we have projects that we do. I'll give you a real praise. One project that's a huge project for us right now is a few years ago, might even be like 8 years ago, we were able to buy a piece of property that we want to build what is called a TWK Life Center on it. It will be a property that will be an income generating project to help TWK become even more self-sustaining so that eventually we don't want to have to raise money for staff. We want them to have a program that's paying for that. We may always be doing projects, but we have a women's conference coming up. We help to support that as well. Projects and overhead, keeping the lights on, even though electricity isn't always as much. Debbie clearly outlined they raise funds to help with the service. Yes.
Vickie, you talked about women being members. Are there any requirements for them to be members? What's the membership mean for that?
Right. So a membership, first, since we start with the local church, we know people in the local church. So if you're a person that wants to join, you have to be known because we're talking about saving money. So people paying back loans. So they have to come with a recommendation if they aren't a part of our local church. And the other thing, they have to come to the meetings all the time. If they want to take a loan, then you have 2 people sign for you so that in effect, if you default, and I have had to pay for someone that I signed for, so it does happen, but it's a way of protecting the savings. Goodness, there are some things to tell you, but do I have time to tell one more quick story? Because this whole of someone of the community knowing you. We had one woman, I can't remember her name. Let's call her Frances. So Frances became a member. She joined the group and paid her dues and everything. And after she was a widow, and when she became a widow, she only had girls, so she was kicked out of the home. The husband's family had the right to come and take the home because it belonged to the husband. If she had had a son, she might have been able to stay in the home, but she had girls. So she was kicked out of the family home. But because she had already been a part of TWK for a while, she could take out a loan to put as a down payment on a piece of a plot that had a structure, like a little home. So she was able to put a down payment on that one, move the family into that. So Frances got sick and couldn't work. Now, this is I don't know who thought of this, but this is fantastic. TWK, if you get sick and incapacitated, you can't work, we have what's called our risk fund, which pays your loan. So if she can't work anymore, we pay the loan because we don't want that family to be committed to that. So I'm a TWK member. I've been part of group. So at the beginning of the year, we all pitch in like $5, and that becomes our risk fund that we can pay off loans like that. Well, Frances, so her loan was paid off. Frances actually ended up dying. And so now the girls, they're living on this piece of plot, but she only paid a down payment. So how do they? So because Frances had some savings, see, she had savings. The savings go to the family, and that helped, but it didn't cover the debt. So the rest of the members all pitched in to clear that debt so girls don't have to worry. That's the community aspect. That's why to become a member, you do have to know somebody, be recommended. So, because you could have someone come in to get a loan and we never see you again. So there are those risks, but yeah.
So then when they pay you the loan, they're still adding to your savings?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so if I take a loan out every month, I have to pay on my loan, but I also have to save a minimum amount. And then if you can save more than that, you have, and my loan can be, when we first started out, the loan would be 1.5 times your savings. But now it's like, it might be 2 times. And if you've been for a long time and have the, credibility, you can take out 3 times. We do have an interest. Interest is about 1%, and they keep asking us to lower it, right? But that also helps to offset the cost of some of the people who are coming to monitor the group. These are usually it's women who wouldn't have enough to really save in a bank, or it's too hard to get to the bank. So, any other questions? Where is the money held? It's held. There's a specific account in the KC Bank. Yeah, it's called Tumaini Women, and so they are able to. Kenyans have used their phone to pay things off way before it ever got here. So we encourage them to pay by phone because they have a record of it on their phone. They have a record at the bank, and then the monitor or the field rep comes and records everything as well.
For their level of living, it's amazing they have a phone.
Oh yeah, no, phones are everywhere. Yeah, phones. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Like the ones that are in our groups? Oh yeah, I mean, some of them are farmers, some of them have side jobs or do, I don't really, I know they have jobs. They have some kind of employment because they're able to save, yeah. Yes, sir.
What is the requirement to join a group?
In Kenya, going to Kenya? No, maybe. So usually we go to the local Free Methodist Church first. That's where we start our group. So the requirement at that point would be you would be a member or a regular attendee at the Free Methodist Church. If you're a community member, someone who doesn't go to the church, then you have to be recommended by 2 people from that group. People who can say, I know this person, I know they're faithful, I know they're dependable, So that's usually, and then fees that you pay, you buy your book, you do a registration fee. And some some, I've been asked, is this, can we replicate this in other countries? Yes, because often other countries already have that table banking or merry-go-round kind of saving. But it just, in fact, they're trying to do a similar thing in Senegal right now. And also in, we have a new missionary team in Togo. And part of what they're doing is assessing whether or not something like this could work in Togo. But it just started in Kenya because, well, we lived there. I mean, again, I didn't start it, but because I was a part of that, that's why I've invested so much time in that area in it. But it could be replicated.
So I have a question. Is it required to be a Kenyan citizen? Because Kenya has a lot of people from different countries. Does it have to be a citizen?
No, no. You do have to have an ID, but we have, I think, 1 or 2 of our members are from Rwanda, but they have an ID number, so you have to have an ID number that is, we can trace who you are. So, but we have members, there are Congolese, I think, that are in some of our groups as well. Okay. All right, well, guess what? It's time to pray. So who's going to pray for us? I'm a good delegator. Okay, thanks, Ray.